welcome to Raising Vibrations. It's Simon here, and I hope this video finds everybody fantastically well. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some of my thoughts and insights regarding Neptune square Saturn, and this was actually pretty exciting, to be honest, because I did chart of the day, and it just kind of came out that maybe I'd do a video on that, and there was quite a lot of responses from people saying that, you know, share your thoughts on this subject. Now, I actually did do a video maybe about a month ago saying Neptune square Saturn, the greatest lie you've ever told. And it is the truth. That is an aspect of it. And it's actually quite intense, to be honest, what it means on a very deep spiritual level. So if you want to check that video out, I'm going to put a link that's going to come up the top over here, and you can check that out now. Otherwise, continue watching this video, and that actual video itself I'll put in the description below. I also wanted to tell you about a workshop that I'm going to be creating on this actual alignment as well. I felt that for us to really get a deeper perspective on what's actually going on in our own birth charts, I'm going to take the material that I'm sharing with you today, and of course more, and then I'm also going to show Saturn and Neptune through the houses in this workshop. So if you're interested in wanting to participate, I think it's like $25 or something. In the description is a link to Acuity, and that is a booking program, and all the information will be there. So you just literally click on the link in the description. I'll make it super highlightable, and just book in when you want to join the webinar, yeah? And this will be happening within the next week or so. So if you're watching this video maybe in the end of December, I still have the recording, so that can also be available if you want to watch it. So it is timeless, Neptune. Okay, so with that out the way, basically what I wanted to do was kind of open up with the picture that you're looking at right now regarding Neptune and Saturn. And you know, you've watched some of my other videos, and I've already shown you, you know, the art of manifestation as an example is very much a Neptunian Saturn experience. I mean, the reason why those videos are coming out is because of the fact that I'm trying to like really bring that energy and what it symbolizes and its potentiality into the physical for us to be able to then, you know, really grab that and use this energy at this stage for our evolution, you know, for whatever you want to use it for. So the video art, the art of manifestation, is a Neptune square Saturn type of energy field, okay? There's another one where it talks about soul and ego formation. That's another video on the YouTube. These are fairly recent, by the way, guys, so you can just browse that. And that also talks about the Neptune square Saturn, what these archetypes are all about. But this picture that you're looking at right in front of you regarding Pink Floyd really captures these two symbols, okay? It truly does, because Saturn represents the triangle, okay? It's the time frame in which we exist within. It's the prism. And Neptune is that light, okay? That's pure white light. You are pure white light. I am pure white light. We are pure white light. It's only when we project ourselves into this holographic universe do we then come out the other side with the spectrum of light that you see, which, as you can see right there, is the 7 chakras, okay, or the rainbow. Now, what's interesting about this experience with Neptune square Saturn is that there's two ways that this is going to play out. Way one, which I bet some of you are already experiencing at some stage, is this feeling of futility and absence of God, absence of meaning. And that time and the boundaries, etc., are kind of dissolving, and there's this, you know, what is actually occurring for us at this stage. And then you also have this incredible potential to feel really excited and almost ecstatic about doing things and really getting yourself into your life and into your body and really manifesting, and it can actually sway quite a lot between these two polarities, right? So this Neptune square Saturn experience for us, when these two planets are contacting, they're actually bringing out the like natural laws of Pisces and Capricorn. And I don't know if you guys remember, and I'll bring it up on the chart over here, but Pisces and Capricorn sextile each other in the astrology. Therefore, they are 60 degrees apart. They actually help each other, okay? And they're also part of what I would say the feminine Makarbha. Okay, now I didn't actually put that in this video itself to show you how that works, but it's the feminine Makarbha, okay? if you want to look at this over here, there's the triangle, okay, trinity, so everything works in three. So you have past, present, and future. So you have got Taurus over here, you've got Capricorn there, you've got Virgo, all right? And that's the earth element, feminine archetype. And then you've got, if you had to flip that on the other way around, then you would have, say, for instance, Cancer there, you would have Scorpio and Pisces. And that's the water trinity. And when you see water and earth integrate within each other, you notice what nature is about. You notice how Saturn and Neptune are operating, one's water, one's earth. And it is that process is how we flow through life and how we deal with resistances, okay? So that's what Neptune or Pisces and Capricorn represents in our chart if we just look at those things individually. I hope I haven't lost anybody at this point. So there's quite a lot to think about. There's quite a lot to feel into. There's quite a lot to understand and digest and process when it comes to what these archetypes are symbolizing on this dimension, okay? So I'd like to open up with this. Beliefs are not the same as knowledge, okay? Now, for anybody, you know, Sag is where Saturn is at this stage. So Saturn is in Sagittarius and Neptune is in Pisces, okay? When a soul has actual knowledge of something to know, okay, there is no need to believe in that something because it is in fact known, okay? This is so much of what this archetype is about, these two archetypes about, and I'll show you. Okay, when something is not actually known, yet that something is inherent to what is perceived by consciousness, then the soul will create or invent beliefs in order to feel that it knows which it does not know, okay? The underlying need in all souls is to feel secure. So what I'm trying to really present to you here with this text is that as we kind of move into understanding the relationship that Saturn has to Neptune, and then we overlay it with the actual archetypes, it's in Sagittarius and Pisces, we're dealing with the intuitive aspect of ourselves. We're dealing with the inherent sort of process of direct experience that leads to inherent knowing, okay? So an example that this can play out for us is that I traveled to Australia, okay? And just before I traveled to Australia, I spoke to a friend and they said they had such a terrible time. You know, there were no sort of, the sun never shone. There were circumstances and situations that never played out in their favor and it really sucks and you shouldn't go. Now that is an inherent belief system that I'm going to be taking on from another person based on their direct experience of that situation, that time frame, that you know, whatever. And that person carries that feeling and inherent knowing of what that experience was like, right? Say, for instance, my friend in this case, because they went there, experienced it, Sagittarius, and then came back with the totality of the whole experience, which is Pisces. Remember, before going to Australia, my friend would dream up the idea. Now, of course, this is not a real story, by the way. It's just made up. But so there was a dream. There was like, oh, wow, I can imagine going to Australia and experiencing like this and that. And I'm going to buy this ticket and I'm going to do that. So there's an inherent sort of necessity for dreaming up something, creating an imaginary experience, Neptune, Pisces, right? And then he goes on the journey through direct experience Sag. He comes to realize that it wasn't all what it thought it was, okay, in terms of his reality. So Pisces is that process of dream and then reality. And we go through that in a whole entire cycle, okay? So when you're dealing with Neptune and Pisces as an example, I mean, there is so much information that is available in terms of what this archetypal structure is about. So I'm trying to be very, I'm trying to put it into very small packets of information that are illuminating. You know, I'm talking about ecology here. I'm talking about immunization. I'm talking about vaccines. You know, this is all the stuff that's occurring with this experience on the different dimensions. But where I am at right now is the fundamental understanding of what these archetypes are about, just to let everybody know where I'm actually in time and space at this point. So, and that's another Neptune square Saturn thing. Like, where are you? Anyway, so coming back to the story, the relationship to the dream and the actual reality. So what makes us experience that is Sag, the direct experience, okay? So what's happening here is that when Saturn's moving into its square and is squaring Neptune at this stage, we're learning how to, in one level, deepen our awareness around the necessity for direct experience versus illusions of what it can be based on somebody else's dream, somebody else's experience, okay? And this is what this is about. It's that, and especially when it comes to now the dimension of religion and control and consensus realities that we're dealing with on here, you know, the souls that are trying to keep humanity in a somber state of sleepiness. This process is that as we understand and digest and then ascend into more like awakened states of consciousness, this understanding becomes super clear. This understanding becomes the only way to actually understand what spirituality is about, which is direct experience leading to a knowing that inherently then becomes intuitive knowledge that gets passed on, okay? So I can then come to you and I can say to you, no, I went to Australia and I went to these places, and this experience was enlightening for me in this way, and this experience was enlightening me for that way. And what you're doing is you're, instead of like creating a kind of illusion or another state of what this experience could be like for somebody else, you instead just share knowledge. And the point of me sharing this again to kind of create clarity and ground this, because I actually have Mercury conjunct my Neptune at this stage, so no wonder I'm, but the point in here is that when you really access this square, right, between Sag and Neptune, and between Saturn, now obviously the planets, and Pisces here in this case, what we're dealing with is our relationship to transcending beyond beliefs to actual direct experience. And instead of being overpowered or surrendering to a philosophy or an existential knowledge or piece of information or God or deity, we now become our own saviors. We become our own sort of inherent gods, as it were, okay? Because we're connected to Source, Neptune, Pisces, right? And Saturn will be moving through this experience on its highest dimension, giving us the opportunity to really grasp this and anchor it into our lives. And this becomes the process. The religion is for the people that need to be given safety and security, right at the bottom over here, the underlying need in all souls to feel secure. So therefore, there is an inherent belief system that it comes into play for us. But Neptune square Saturn on these different dimensions is offering security for people that are in belief systems. And when you get to your spiritual state, it's inherent direct experience. It's like you're going into an experience, you're coming out the other side. Wow, that was, wonderful. You gained so much wisdom from it. And it's these kind of layers that are really available for us at this point. And for many of us that are trying to move into a state of inner reflection and inner understanding and really understanding yourself as the cosmos, you'll realize that this square in itself is truly bringing home this necessity on one level to realize that reconnection back with God, realize that reconnection back with Source, which is you, which is us, that oneness within ourselves. And then learn to have direct experiences with that eventually over a period of time lead to accumulated wisdom. And that's the whole sort of purpose of the right brain, is that abstract part of us that has deep intuitive knowing, but we don't really know where it comes from. We just go, yeah, for some random reason, I know that. As an example, okay? So I hope that was clear in that way, and you really got, something out of what I'm just trying to share with you in terms of the basis of the square and what angles they're in at this point. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly give you a breakdown in terms of how to put this together for yourself, of course. So Saturn correlates to structure, okay, and that's why it's construction. And that's why a lot of Capricorns will be builders. A lot of Capricorn people who've got lots of Capricorn in their chart will need structure and organization, because there is a necessity for holding things together in order for something to exist within it. Okay. So that's why if you run a business, for instance, or in this case over here, you can see that these pictures would be sort of imagery, right? So it appeals to the Neptunian part of yourself. But to make it really clear and distinct, I would put boundaries around it, as you can see there. And that would be the kind of Saturn. So Neptune, Saturn, Neptune, Saturn. Can you see how this is working? So it's clarification. And my question to you at this stage, which is really interesting, is we need clarification at this point in our lives as a collective race, and obviously individually in our lives. All right. So you can see what Saturn and Capricorn, or should I say Capricorn and Pisces does, and these two angles. It's bringing us this need for clarification, this need for where things go, where's the structure, right? But I'm sure you can start to put it all together now that when you look at, say, for instance, Pluto moving through Capricorn and Pluto destroying everything since 2008, so a stock market crash, as it were, you would look at reality and go, okay, so what's happening is that the old structures are being reformed, right? So Saturn comes into square with Neptune just as Pluto hits 15 degrees Capricorn. So we've gone through quite a lot of deconstruction. So there's two ways that this can happen. Either we can recreate our world in a way that is based on the past, which is an agenda that's occurring at this stage, or alternatively, we can reconstruct our realities and lives in ways that have based on our direct experiences of life. And that's the greatest gift that you can have at this point in time, you know, because so many of us at this stage are going, so where do I go? What do I do? How do I build stuff? And it's really difficult because this whole entire alignment is you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where to go. And that's the point. We've never been here before, but that's the Neptunian experience. So Saturn's saying for us, okay, well, we can channel this energy and build stuff and construct stuff in ways that really anchors in our direct experience of life. Like, what is our personal view on the world? Can you share what I know to be true? And this is important. You know, if you really want to step out into the world and be something in that way, this alignment rocks because it's giving us that opportunity to reconstruct. And of course, the whole purpose of life is what? It's growth, Saturn. And what is growth all about? Growth is about that process of when we were born, going through circumstances and situations that deepen our connection to the earth, i.e. the feminine archetype, and raise our consciousness to the ether, the masculine archetype, right? And so we do that by the Saturn-Neptune experience, because it's that process of going through experiences, coming out the other side, what was the ultimate meaning, and then allowing that to digest, sink in, and being processed as to part of your consciousness. Because you must remember that you're a human being running an operating system that is infinitely awesome. So your potential is limited by what you perceive yourself to be. And the challenge that Saturn promotes is how much and how far are you willing to grow in this lifetime? And are you going to show up, Saturn? Are you going to construct it? I mean, these guys are working here. As you can see, this is not a project that takes one day. It's a project where everybody comes back every single day and puts value into it, puts effort into it, the earth trine. And it's a dream that they're manifesting, the water trine. Yeah? And then finally, Saturn also represents that aspect of time. And so what's happening here is you can see that in order for us to understand what happened last year, as an example, we would need to have that year. Year is Saturn. Why? Because it's a definition or a timeline that we've imposed or put onto consciousness that has allowed us to then have a reflection back of when that period of time was. So last year, December, and everybody goes back to a point within their consciousness regarding that place, Saturn. There's that barrier. So we don't look further than that. We're not looking anywhere closer than that. We're just looking at that point. And then, of course, the polarity point of Saturn, of course, is the moon, which is Cancer. And so we're dealing with reflection of emotion. So that's when we would have reflections. Do you see what's occurring here? So Pluto is in Capricorn at this stage. Therefore, the ruler of Pluto at this stage is Saturn. Saturn's in Sag. So we are looking at now a new direction, a new philosophy, a new time and space in which we're going to grow upon and construct it. So that's why it can feel, especially with the square being in a crisis in action, crisis in consciousness, this feeling of absinthe. Okay? Like, where do we go? Because it's never been created, so you've got to do that. So other things that I wanted to really share with you over here. On one level, Neptune in square Saturn is going to bring us this process of a savior, right? This new inherent belief system that's going to bring us the savior. And this is a very dangerous thing at this stage. So you are your own savior. You are the Christ within yourself. You are looking for yourself. And that's what this is promoting. It's promoting direct experiences that teach you about the nature of who you are versus seeking knowledge existentially in a way where you don't learn about your own internal gifts because you're looking outside of yourself at other people's gifts and saying and then comparing because there's now duality. So you're trying to connect from the human experience Sagittarius to God, right? This is the Neptune square Saturn. This is Sagittarius and Pisces. It's like, how do we go through direct experiences that show us what the ultimate meaning was? Because we are that ultimate meaning. Does that make sense? So it's either going to be doom gloom or an absence of inspiration, or Neptune is inspiration. So how much inspiration are you bringing into your life, and how much are you paying attention to what inspires you? And this is how you begin this journey of accessing the true potential with Neptune square Saturn at this stage, is my inspiration. And of course, finally, Neptune will always correlate to the pineal gland and our cosmic forces. So Neptune square Saturn at this stage will bring to us and everybody this necessity for being really, really clear about what you're actually exploring because of the amount of distractions that are available at this stage. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff that is just floating around in the ether that can, oh, we gravitate towards that, we gravitate towards that, and we don't actually create anything. So it's a time of focus. It's a time of anchoring in focus into the self, okay? And really, really, like Neptune's saying, hey, I've got these cosmic forces, I've got this ether here, and now I've got to bring it into the body, Saturn. And so that's why that art of manifestation video is so important, because it shows you this process of downloading stuff into physical so that you can actually witness it and experience it in reality to see what it's about versus just imagination. And that's what's so dangerous at this stage in terms of the savior complex is that these souls are going to come onto the planet and say, hey, we'll do everything for you. And you still don't recognize that you're not actually connected to your body and actually doing anything and creating direct experience and knowledge. So at the center of the universe dwells the Great Spirit, and that center is really everywhere. It is within each of us. And this is so beautiful because the square is what it's trying to teach us this. We're looking at ourselves. We are the ones that we're looking for. And when you look at yourself, you are the one that you're looking for. So none of this wandering stuff anymore. I'm searching for myself. I'm looking to be what I can be. No. Stop, take consciousness back into self and ask yourself this question. What is meaningful for me? And then feel what comes up. Like, okay, so nothing comes up, so there's no meaning. All right, okay. So expose yourself to things, okay? Expose yourself to things that create arousal. Once you start to feel a sense of arousal, that's your soul going, hey, I am enjoying this. Therefore, that's certain meaning, inspiration. Okay? And then you start going further. You start spinning that disc faster and faster and faster and faster. Okay? Now, one of the reasons why I brought up this chart as well, and we'll be going through this in the workshop. Remember, guys, that I'm creating an entire workshop on this process for everybody to get like a deeper teaching on this process, and also to know how to see it in your actual birth chart as well. So again, if you're interested in that, in the description below is a QRT link. Click on it, book your place, and yeah, I really, really want you to come over and join me in a webinar, to be honest. Okay, so here we're looking at this process. Okay, we've got Saturn in Sag, so we know Sag is about direct experience, it's about natural law. It's moving through there. Neptune's in Pisces, and we've got this direct experience square. Okay, so we're learning about it. And in fact, I did this today, which means that this square, it has the intensity was probably over the last 4 days. So Saturn's already moved past it. Okay. So maybe that's why I feel inspired to do this, because I was really trying to tap into this experience. Anyway, so coming back to this again, you've got Sag here, direct experience, Neptune, the totality of everything. So my truth versus the totality of the truth. When everybody shares their truth, we get the spectrum, the whole entire spectrum. So we're connecting to our spirit and outside of ourselves so that we can then be able to connect with others. Okay. Now, Pluto is 14 degrees. It's about to hit 15 degrees. And as I said before, this is about ending cycles. So this whole entire cycle is ending. And now all of a sudden we're pioneering in a new direction, right? Then you also have this Virgo Pisces axis kicking in. And of course, if you have a look here, Jupiter is the ruler of Saturn in this case. So Saturn's in Sag, so therefore we look to Jupiter. And so Jupiter's conjunct North Node at this stage, but it will be in Virgo for until next year, July, if I'm not mistaken. So we're dealing a lot with also the Virgo Pisces axis. And of course, naturally, Sag squares Virgo, just in terms of natally, right? Not in terms of the nodes itself or Jupiter. So this is again implying this necessity for showing up, this necessity for healing the body, healing the self, bringing yourself into this world and doing the work. And on its deepest level, and the reason why I don't talk about it as much as I used to, and I highly recommend watching the video called the Virgo Pisces axis or nodal shift, because it deals with a lot of the psychological distortions that humanity carries with it regarding the rejection of the physical, Saturn. And that is the realization within ourselves that a lot of the things that keep us paralyzed is our own psychological state of feeling a sense of lack. And so therefore, instead of going, I'm just going to be and try and do and make mistakes so that I can experience what it means to be alive, I'm just going to try to gain as much sort of knowledge as possible to facilitate a feeling of insecurity, of maybe being judged or criticized. And really, this is just coming from past lives in which you've been told that you weren't really good. So you can see what we're dealing with here in terms of the square. On a deeper level, there's also a massive healing around the emancipation of like psychological nonsense that keeps us enslaved because we believe that we're not the entire universe. We believe that we have these little roles to play as domesticated little people and so on and so forth. Enough. No, it's not that anymore. So we can either play the game of Saturn square Neptune, of running around being completely distracted by the mundane experiences in reality, or we can jack up our consciousness and really step into the infinite ether that existing for us at this stage and practice manifestation. Okay, so just what I wanted to do for you as we end off this video is just kind of show you specifically what I mean when I say we're going to go through the natural zodiac. If you join the webinar, I'm going to do what I just showed you right now, but a lot more amplified, show you the Fibonacci sequence and specific points of Saturn and so on and so forth, and get a little bit deeper into some of my thoughts. But this point over here with regards to the zodiac wheel, I'm going to go, okay, so you've got Saturn in Aries, or Saturn in the first house, and Neptune's in 10th. So what we're dealing with here in terms of your birth chart, if you're going through this on your birth chart, is that the soul's trying to experience, and this is really, really interesting actually, a total dissolving of the direction of your life. Like it's going, okay, we've done this before, we've experienced this, now I need you to change. So in fact, Neptune in the 10th house can be a very difficult placement to have. Not only is it the actual two archetypes that we're playing with at this stage, but we're dealing with the absence of meaning and then the invigorating expression of what meaning becomes once you have reached the point where there is no meaning. You know, and this is actually something that will actually occur with the square as well, even if you don't actually have Neptune in the 10th house. So that's a really difficult placement to have Neptune. And of course, with Saturn now being in your first house, Aries, it's implying, and you know, okay, so Saturn's in Sag here, and you would have had Neptune on your 10th in Pisces. You'd be looking at the soul's like total dissolving of its entire reality structure. Okay. And even to the point where the family values that you grew up with and conditioning would actually probably go as well. Like you would actually reinvent yourself with this alignment. So this is really, really powerful. And of course, with Saturn being in Sagittarius on your ascendant, you're already coming into this lifetime regarding self-discovery in terms of a new belief system. You know, exploration is going to be what's available for you at this stage. So on a very, very deep level, Neptune 10th house, Aries, Saturn and Aries in the first, you're dealing with an entirely new evolutionary cycle occurring for you regarding these two planets. So that's pretty big. And of course, you're probably also going to be going through the archetypes where, let's have a look, the nodal axis. Again, the nodal axis is going to shift for you. So that's big. And so you're already, where was it there? The south node would be there for you right now if you had Neptune in the 10th. So the south node would be there, meaning that you're already going to be dissolving the past, and the north node would be, yeah, Virgo would be on your IC if the chart was a 110%, you know, 30, 30, 30. So with Virgo being there and the north node being there, of course, you're going to be going into an entirely new self-identity, right? And there's a deep self-analysis that's going to be occurring here and a lot of mutability in your life at this stage. So, you know, if you've got this alignment, then my best advice to you is to actually pull out an encyclopedia and a book and say, just like kind of blindfold yourself, Neptune, and point somewhere in the chart and go, that's where I want to travel, because I want new experiences. I want new philosophies. I want new definitions. I want new cultural understandings, and so on and so forth. Okay. Fantastic, everybody. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope that it inspired you in some way, shape, or form. I really hope that it gave you insight into what's occurring. As I said again, check out the webinar. The description contains the link and also videos there as well, okay? Other than that, guys, hit the like and subscribe button and have an awesome day. Take care. Bye-bye.